Week 11 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 12 defense DST units. I'm ranking this week number one, the Houston Texans. So this Texan defense, for the most part, they've been playing good football. I know last week they did give up 29 points in that shootout victory versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made plays when they needed to, and their offense as well put them in bad position, and also they gave up a punt return touchdown. But when it came down to the fourth quarter, the defense, they got to Trevor Lawrence a couple times and also had a pick six to end that game. So this week in a slam dunk matchup at arguably the worst offense in the league at the Tennessee Titans, and this Texan team starting to gain some momentum. I think they go out there and have a great performance this week. Number two, the Baltimore Ravens. So this Raven defense, all of a sudden, the last month of the season, they've turned things around after they were giving up 40-plus points per game in a few games in a row early in the season. So this week, a great matchup at the Cleveland Browns, an offense that's had trouble all season long moving the football. And Dylan Gabriel, it could be a long day for the young quarterback here for this Cleveland Brown team. So like I said, Baltimore's got a lot of momentum going. Their offense is putting up points early and often and making offenses one-dimensional, and that's where this Raven defense really could go out there and start teeing off. Number three, the New England Patriots. So this Patriot DST, not a great unit, but this week as well, another slam dunk matchup in this ball game where the New York Jets, they can't move the football. Last week, they got lucky with two return touchdowns, one kick return touchdown and one punt return touchdown to get 14 points on the board, and also a little bit of a screen pass, and also a screen pass that Breece Hall made a couple guys miss for 42 yards to the end zone. So a couple fluky plays in that ball game it was last week for the New York Jets, and this New England Patriot team is playing at a high level. So this week, I think their defense goes out there and they make it a tough day for this New York Jet offense. If it's Justin Fields or Taylor, whoever the quarterback's going to be. Number four, the Los Angeles Chargers. So this Charger defense, they're back to getting to the quarterback. They're back as well flying around the field. And that's with Khalil Mack back in the lineup over the last couple weeks. So last week, Pittsburgh, I know their offense isn't all that great, but they came into Los Angeles and they were shut down until a late garbage time touchdown. They were getting to Rodgers early and often. He was taking some big hits in that ball game with Aaron Rodgers. And this week at Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, he's taken a lot of big hits this season. And also he's been inaccurate and he's been throwing interceptions. So that's a good recipe for success for the Chargers in this one. Number five, the Green Bay Packers. So this Packer defense went toe-to-toe with arguably one of the best offenses in the league on Monday night in Week 10 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. They did lose 10-7, but they made them earn every point, and they barely squeaked out a victory over there with Philadelphia. And this week, a great matchup at the New York Giants, who obviously have had trouble all season long being consistent on offense. They're 2-8 on the season, and also if Jackson Dart's out in this game, Green Bay's going to feast in this one where I believe it'll be Russell Wilson starting your quarterback. So with all those factors, and even if Dart does play, he's good for a couple turnovers and he's going to take some sacks at times as well. And like I said, this is an elite defense, is this Green Bay Packer unit. Number six, the Kansas City Chiefs. So this week they traveled to Denver, coming off the bye week. And Denver's offense, I know they've had some big games where they put up points, but going back to Week 7 versus the Giants, they did nothing for 3 quarters, but they had that amazing fourth quarter putting up all those points. Then Week 8, it was an easy matchup versus the Dallas Cowboys, so I'll give them that one, putting up big points. Week 9, it was a grinded-out ball game in Houston where they only put up 23 points in that game, was Denver. And then last week, the Vegas Raiders came in on Thursday night and held them to 10 points. So this offense is inconsistent. And you know, this Chief defense is one of the more sound units in the league, led by obviously Chris Jones, led by one of the better corners in the league in McDuffie, and also one of the better defensive coordinators in the league in Steve Spagnuolo. So with all those factors and them coming off bye week, and Denver, in my opinion, not that good of an offense, especially with J.K. Dobbins down as well, where that's a big loss in the running game. I think Kansas City goes out there and puts in a good performance. Number 7, the Atlanta Falcons. There's a 1-week streaming option. I like Atlanta. And the thing with Atlanta, I know they got gashed for 200 yards on the ground last week, but the pass rush was vicious, and Daniel Jones, they took him down 5 times for sacks and created a couple turnovers as well. So Carolina, if you could stop Rico Dotto early in the ball game and make them one-dimensional with Bryce Young at quarterback, I think that's where this Falcon defense could come in and really start going out there and teeing off. Like I said, they're going to give up points, but also this defense, they get to the quarterback, create sacks, and they create turnovers as well. Number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. So this week, not that great of a matchup because this Seattle offense is a good unit, obviously. Sam Darnold having a good season. Jackson Smith-Njigba, one of the best receivers in the league already. And also, you added Rashid Shaheed and Cooper Kupp, I still think could make some plays here and there. But this Ram offense, they make their defense is job way easier, where they make offenses one-dimensional, where they have to abandon a run and play catch-up. So this week back home once again for Los Angeles, and last week I thought they did a good job at San Francisco. The DST, I think, has another decent performance. Number 9, the Chicago Bears. So this Bear DST similar to the Atlanta Falcons, where they're going to give up yards, they're going to give up points, but they get to the quarterback with the sacks. They create the turnovers. And this week in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, he takes a lot of sacks, holds on to the football long, and he's had a track record so far in the handful of starts of turning the football over. And you saw it last week in that ball game versus the Baltimore Ravens. So with all those factors, and the Chicago offense has been getting off to good starts and playing good football, I think this DST could go out there and be a decent unit this week. Number 10, the Denver Broncos. So this is a tough matchup. Kansas City Chiefs coming in. Obviously one of the best offenses in the league. Patrick Mahomes back to MVP form. And now with Rashee Rice back in the lineup the last few weeks. And Kelsey having a good season, I believe. I think it's going to be tough for Denver. But like I said, they're a sound unit. They've pretty much been matchup proof for the most part, is this Bronco defense. And we saw them a couple weeks ago versus a high-powered Cowboy offense pretty much limit them in this one. Number 11, the Seattle Seahawks. So this Seattle's defense, they create turnovers. They make big plays. We saw last week 2 fumble recovery touchdowns for DeMarcus Lawrence in that game. And I know it's a tough matchup at the Los Angeles Rams, but we know as well he still has that gunslinger mentality as Matthew Stafford, and he might throw a pick or two. And also as well, he's taking his sacks this season. So even if this is a high-scoring game, Seattle's still going to get some points in this one, I believe. And the 12th and final defense, DST, I'm ranking is the Dallas Cowboys. I know their defense has been bad all season long, but they're getting a lot of reinforcements. It looks like in this one is this Dallas Cowboy team to start. Traded for linebacker Logan Wilson from Cincinnati, where he hasn't had a great year, but they needed an upgrade at the position. Then you trade for one of the better run stoppers in the league, Quentin Williams from the New York Jets. Now you're getting Overshown, who's been a fierce pass rusher before he tore the ACL back. It looks like this week is well into the lineup. So a lot of reinforcements for this defense and a good matchup versus the Vegas Raiders, where Geno Smith's been a crash test dummy, taking a lot of sacks this season, and his turnovers have been way up there as well for Geno Smith. I know they got playmakers, Ashton Jinty, Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker having a decent season, but I just believe this Cowboy team with reinforcements and coming off the bye, this unit could go out there and make some things happen. So that's a top 12 defense DST unit I'm ranking for week 11 of the fantasy football season.